Apenas leia o texto e reflita bastante. Eu sei que normalmente eu escrevo creepypastas envolvendo o incrível mundo de Gumball, mas eu gostaria de abrir uma exceção nesse artigo. Não tem nada a ver com o programa, mas tem a ver com Paulo, para saber como ele. Veja as outras creepies que escrevi. Dito isso, como amigo bem próximo a ele, eu posso dizer que Paulo é cara bem criativo, e é desse tipo de gente que você não consegue entender o que se passa na mente dele. Ele acaba traduzindo esses pensamentos em contos. Ele adora escrever histórias. Ainda que às vezes elas possam não fazer muito sentido, divem os episódios que citei nos outros dois artigos. Mas não pensam que ele é desses gênios reservados, que adora viver escondido em esse canto, no quarto, sem manter contato com o mundo exterior. Ele apenas evita que o mundo exterior descubra estes pensamentos, e portanto sente-se seguro em traduzi-los em forma de histórias, diz ele. Mas ele nem sempre foi assim. E uns 14 anos, ele não tinha nenhum pensamento anormal para algum dia dele. E que dia aconteceu. Era uma noite na verdade. Ele estava na casa de amigo, e se preparava para dormir. Nada de estranho havia acontecido naquele dia, nem naquela semana, ou naquele mês. Então, não havia explicação para ele ter sono tão intenso, que desencadeasse nele uma crise de ansiedade que teve que ser tratada com terapia e remédios. É este sono que eu vou contar agora. Ele sonhava estar viajando de navio com a família e com os amigos. Estavam lá os pais dele, os tios, amigos da escola, e ele, obviamente. Não havia algum passageiro naquele cruzeiro que não fosse conhecido de Paulo. Bem, sou homem alto, magro, de cabelo preto e bigode. E ele tinha uma certa semelhança com Freddie Mercury. Esse serve de alguma ajuda. O sono transcorria uma maravilha, e ele diz que sentia prazer em viver essa primeira parte do sono. Aquela sensação que você talvez já tenha sentido ao sonhar com algo muito bom. E era algo bom mesmo. Paulo era muito chegado à família, aos amigos, e estar com eles no cruzeiro. Ele sempre quis fazer cruzeiro. Era a melhor coisa que poderia acontecer. Era, bem, sono. Depois de dia inteiro de diversão, todo mundo vai a seus aposentos, e prepara para dormir. Paulo pensava que ele dividira esse quarto com seus pais, mas ele se espanta ao ver que ele dividira o quarto justo com o homem misterioso. E lá estavam eles, preparando para dormir, quando o homem começa a conversar com ele. Ele não se lembra bem o que o homem diz, mas foi algo que conseguia deixar Paulo bem nervoso e preocupado. Era como se aquele homem estivesse dizendo que aquele cruzeiro era apenas sono. E que Paulo acordaria, e iria perceber que o navio não existe. Mas não era só o navio, seus pais, seus amigos, e o homem, seriam todos frutos da imaginação de Paulo. A vida dele não havia passado do sono, e ele logo iria recordar. Paulo fica bem preocupado, e ele saiu correndo do quarto, com medo, e foi falar com os pais. Ao abrir a cabine, eles não estavam lá. O quarto estava arrumado, como se ninguém estivesse lá, o que não fazia sentido, já que ele viu os pais entrando na cabine. Aconteceu a mesma coisa com seus amigos, e mesmo com o homem. Depois de percorrer o navio inteiro, não havia ninguém lá. So Paulo, ainda que fotos com pessoas, por exemplo, cartaz propaganda, ainda mostra-some seres humanos, mas iram apenas fotografias. De repente, caminhando frenetico por corredor do navio, as luzes piscaram forte. Era brilho tal, que ele achou que fosse ficar cego. Quando o brilho cessou, Paulo já não estava mais no navio. Ele estava agora numa espécie de sala cirúrgica, acorrentado a uma maca. Haviam 3 médicos ao seu lado. No instante que ele acordou, os médicos olhavam para ele por trás de suas máscaras cirúrgicas. Ao retiraram as máscaras, choque. Os doutores iram os pais de Paulo, e o homem do bigode. Os olhos de Paulo, naquele instante, esse encheram de alegria. E ele viu que seus pais eram de verdade, e queria abracá-los. Mas, assim que exclamou os seus nomes, os médicos olharam com ar de dúvida. Eles disseram que não eram os pais dele, e que ele estava confuso. Paulo começou a ficar nervoso de novo. E ele gritava dizendo que ele era o filho daqueles doutores, mas eles simplesmente negavam, dizendo que eles não tinham filhos. Ai, o homem de bigode explicou o que estaria acontecendo. E ele deve ter assimilado o rosto de vocês dois, pouco antes de iniciarmos o experimento. Eco que enquanto estava coma, ele sonhava que vocês eram os pais dele, por isso ele está falando esse tipo de coisa. Paulo estava passando pelo pior pesadelo da sua vida, e ele não queria que aquilo fosse verdade. Não, eles tinham que ser os seus pais. Mas, por mais que ele gritasse, nenhum dos médicos parecia compreender sua dor. Então a mãe manda que o pai reinicie o experimento, e faça-o entrar em coma de novo. Ela e o homem de bigode abandonam o recinto, enquanto o pai vai mexer numa máquina que havia lá. Paulo gritava o mais alto que podia, mandava que ele não reiniciasse o experimento, mas o médico pouco prestava atenção. E ele se debaixa na maca, mal conseguindo se mexer, por causa das carenes, enquanto o médico simplesmente se fixava na máquina. De repente, barulho, pequeno bip, que parece que durava séculos, e o médico diz que a experiência está pronta para recomeçar. Ao apertar botão, o médico liga a máquina. Paulo via soro estranho entrando nele, por meio de tubo enfiado na sua veia. Lentamente o soro entrava. Os olhos de Paulo ficavam cansados. Eles começavam a perder a consciência. A última coisa de que se lembra é de ver o pai de costas para ele, ainda olhando para a máquina. De repente, escuro. E como se a mente dele estava desligada, e isso parece durar uma eternidade. Lentamente, ele via luzes coloridas, que iam tomando forma, e que ele pudesse perceber onde estava. Era o quarto de seu amigo, e era de manhã. Ele havia acordado do sono terrível que teve. Paulo começou a questionar se ele estava de fato vivendo a realidade, e ele teve uma profunda depressão e crise de ansiedade. Felizmente ele se recuperou, tomou alguns remédios, fez uma terapia, e hoje ele lida muito bem com esse assunto. Mas ele faz questão de lembrar que as marcas que ele adixou sua vida permanecem. Relie esse texto, e coloque-se no lugar de Paulo. Relie mais algumas vezes. Just read this and think about it. I know I usually write creepypastas involving the amazing world of Gumball, but I would like to make an exception in this article. It has nothing to do with the program, but it has to do with Paulo. To know who he is, look at the other stories I have written. That being said, as a close friend to him, I can say that Paul is a very creative guy, and those are the kind of people that you cannot understand what is going on in their mind. He ends up translating these thoughts into stories. He loves to write stories, although sometimes they may not make much sense. Hence the episodes I mentioned in the other 2 articles. But do not think that he is one of those reserved geniuses who loves living hidden in his corner in the room, without maintaining contact with the outside world. It just prevents the outside world from discovering these thoughts, and therefore he feels safe in this separation, he says. But he was not always like this. Until he was about 14 years old, he had no abnormal thinking for someone his age. Until one day it happened. It was a night indeed. He was at a friend's house and getting ready for bed. Nothing strange had happened that day, or that week, or that month. So there was no reason for him to have a dream so intense that it would trigger a crisis of anxiety that had to be treated with therapy and medication. This is the dream he had that I will tell you now. He had dreamed of traveling by ship with his family and friends. I was there, his parents, uncles, friends from school, and himself, obviously. There was a passenger on that cruise that was not an acquaintance of Paolo. Well, just one. A tall, thin man with black hair and mustache. He had a certain resemblance to Freddie Mercury, if it's any help. The dream went on, and he said he was having fun in the first part of the dream. He had that feeling that you might already have experienced in a very pleasant dream. It was a good thing for Paolo. He was close to family, friends, and was with them on a cruise. He always wanted to do a cruise. Such a good thing happening could only be described as, well, a dream. After a full day of fun, everyone went to their quarters to prepare for sleep. Paolo thought he had shared his room with his parents, but he was amazed to see that he was sharing a room with the mystery man. And there they were, getting ready for bed when the man starts talking to him. He does not remember what the man said, but it was something that made Paul really nervous and worried, as if the man was saying that this was just a dream. And Paul would wake up and realize that the ship did not exist. But it was not only the ship that didn't exist. His parents, his friends, I, the man, would all be the fruits of Paolo's imagination. Life, it had been nothing but a dream, and he would soon wake up. Paul was very concerned. He ran from the room, afraid, and went to talk with parents. When opening the cabin, they were not there. The room was tidy, as if no one had been there, which made no sense since he saw his parents coming into the cabin. The same thing happened with his friends, and even with the man. After traversing the entire ship, he realized there was no one there. Only Paolo. Although photos with people, for example, a poster advertising, still had human beings in it, but they were only photographs. Suddenly frantic, he started walking down a hallway of the ship when the lights flickered stronger. It was so bright, he thought he was going to go blind. When the brightness ceased, Paul was no longer on the ship. He was now in some sort of operating room, chained to a gurney. There were 3 doctors at his side. The moment he woke up, the doctors looked at him behind their surgical masks. They pulled down their masks, and to his shock, the doctors were the parents of Paul and the mustache man. Paul's eyes at that moment filled with joy. He saw that his parents were real, and he wanted to hug them. But once he exclaimed their names, the doctors looked at him with an air of doubt. They said that they were not his parents, and he was confused. Paolo started to get nervous again. He cried, saying he was the son of those doctors, but they just refused, saying they had no children. Then the man with the mustache explained what was happening. He must have assimilated the face of both of you just before starting the experiment. I think while in a coma, he dreamed that you were his parents, so he's talking about that kind of thing. Paolo was going through the worst nightmare of his life. He did not want it to be true. No, they had to be his parents. But as he screamed, none of the doctors seemed to understand his pain. So the mother ordered the father to restart the experiment and put him into a coma again. She and mustachioed man left the room while the father began to mess with the machine that was there. Paolo screamed as loud as he could. He did not want to restart the experiment, but the doctor didn't listen. He thrashed on the table, barely able to move because of the chains, while the doctor simply stared at the machine. Suddenly, a noise, a small beep. It seemed that it lasted centuries, and the doctor said, "The experiment is ready to start." By pushing a button, the doctor connects the machine. Paolo sees a strange serum flowing through a tube down into his vein. The serum slowly came. Paolo's eyes became tired, and he began to lose consciousness. The last thing he could remember was seeing the parent with his back to him, still looking at the machine. It became suddenly dark. It was as if his mind were turned off, and that seemed to last an eternity. Slowly, he saw colored lights, which would rotate, until he could see where he was. He was with his friend in his bedroom, and it was morning. He had agreed the terrible dream he had. Paolo began to question whether he was actually living in reality. He went into a deep depression and an existential crisis. Fortunately, he recovered. He took some medicine, did therapy, and today he handles himself very well with this subject. But he does point out that the feeling of being alone remained a part of his life. Reread the text and put yourself in the place of Paolo. Reread it a few times.